Welcome to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I'm your host, Darrell Scott, and together we will dive into the lives and careers of the jazz legends who have left a rhythmic imprint on the world. Be prepared to reminisce on the highs and the lows of their musical journey and the trials that sculpted their timeless musical gems. We'll preserve the legacy of these extraordinary maestros and find inspiration in the melodies of their lives. Subscribe now and never miss a beat. Now, let's get to the show. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I am Darrell Scott. This is an interesting show. It's going to cover music, but it's also going to cover the acting chops of the young man we're going to talk to today, which I think is really interesting. And let's just get started with it. I guess today is Judas Sheely.
Yes.
If you're a movie buff, and the movie is called Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere.
Mhm.
And he plays the role of Clarence Clemons. Now, I'm sure everybody knows of Bruce Springsteen. I'm sure they're aware of Clarence Clemons. First of all, do you have acting in your background, in your blood? Is it something you wanted to do? How did we get to the acting chops?
Well, that's a great question. So I have never acted, never been in my blood. I was not checking for a movie. I was not interested in the movie. I didn't even know about the movie. So literally a year ago, last September, around Labor Day, I was minding my business, doing what I normally do, going to school because I teach. I'm a music teacher during the day and taking care of my daughter, all those things. And then I get a message on Facebook from Andy Snitzer. And Andy Snitzer is an amazing saxophonist,
Yeah.
well-renowned, and now we follow each other on social media. And, when I was first starting out in professional recording, I would message him, this was like in 2013, 2014, and he would graciously respond. And, so we corresponded because I'm a big fan of his. So we've known each other through social media, but we've never met in person.
Mm-hmm.
So he messages me and he says, hey, there is a friend of mine whose name is Sandy. Sandy Park is her name. She's the music contractor for a film about Bruce Springsteen, and they're looking to cast the role of Clarence Clemons. And you wouldn't have to, there wouldn't be a lot of lines or anything. It would be about embodying his presence, doing some moves and things like that. And I really think you should consider it because they want an actual saxophonist to do it as opposed to an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And now I didn't think it was legitimate. I thought he was, like, this can't be real. Like, I don't know anything about movies. Why would anybody want, like, at first,
Right.
And then if it was real, like, how am I going to be able to, because, I'm a single dad. So like, how am I going to, if I have to travel and go on like location and film, like, how am I going to do all those things?
Right.
So all of those things are making me think that there's no way this is going to happen. Right. So, but he told me to just hear her out. And I said, okay, well, sure. I hear her out. And so I gave him my cell phone number, and within minutes she called me, and well, she texted me first and then she called me. And then, so we talked on the phone. She said, we're looking to cast this role. We want a musician. Andy Snitzer recommended you. Now, and again, me and Andy have never met, but he's seen videos of me and cut through social media. So she calls me. She says, hey, we're looking to cast this role. Would you be interested? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I get my concerns. I'm like, how am I going to take care of my daughter? Blah, 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 blah. And so we go through the whole process. What I was supposed to do was I was supposed to record a solo of me playing the solo from Born to Run, which is Bruce Springsteen, and which I did. And she gave me some pointers on how I could do it again, because not clearly, I was able to play the solo, but they were more interested in my ability to embody the character,
Right.
move
Yes.
the way that he moved, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did a little more homework. I actually, my good friend Deepak Fetu, who's also a musician and recording artist, he is a diehard Bruce Springsteen fan. So I told him about the audition. I'm like, you know, I don't know what they want me to do. He was like, do the solo again, but then also do Clarence Clemons' song, You're a Friend of Mine, that he did with Jackson Browne.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they didn't ask me to do that, but I did that as extra credit. So
Right.
I recorded myself doing that, and I watched the video. He was very happy, very energetic and vibrant, and I brought that persona to the audition, and that's what got me the role. So I sent them the audition. 5 days go by. She sends me a message. She was like, Bruce Springsteen loves you. The director loves you. John Landau loves you, who's Bruce's longtime manager, loves you. You got the role. So that's how I got the role. And then fast forward to December of last year was when I first started filming. I filmed for about 10 days, not straight, like 3 days here, 3 days here, 4 days here. And, you know, hair and makeup and rehearsals and then filming. And it was just the coolest thing I've ever done. And that's how I got the role and that's how I got involved.
So it's so funny. First of all, you kind of have no interest in doing this. And now,
I mean, that's fair to say.
now you're all psyched up.
Yeah.
Because I would think even in the beginning stages, just being a part of this movie's going to be huge because it's Bruce Springsteen.
Yes.
So now all of a sudden it's like you go from I to like, hey.
Yeah, literally. It went from I wasn't checking for a movie and now I'm in this film that is in theaters, still in theaters.
Right. Yeah.
You know? And it's like, so just to put it in perspective, like I said, I've never been a part of a film, never did anything like that. I've obviously have done music. Music is what I do.
Right.
But I love movies. I've never been a part of them. And when I was on set, all of the musicians in the E Street Band that play the musicians in the E Street Band, they're all professional musicians, never been in films before either, but we were hired for our ability to deliver the concert scenes with realism. That's why we got the role, because we look the part and can play the part musically. But one of the gentlemen who played Steven Van Zandt, his name is Johnny. He's an actual actor, right? Mm-hmm. And he asked us the same thing. So I was like, so have you ever acted? I was like, no. And he was like, do you know how cool that is? Like, I'm an actor. I'm an actor. I get told no all the time. I get rejected all the time. And for them to seek you out and ask you to be a part of it, that's major. You know what I mean? Like, to be in the presence of all these people who do this for a living. Like, to call myself an actor is a disservice to the real men and women who actually spend hours in training at Juilliard, doing the theater productions. You know, I don't take it lightly that I was involved in this really, really special opportunity. Like, I'm just very grateful that I was able to be there.
So the first few days of shooting, are you scared to death?
Absolutely. Yes, very, very much so. What really reassured me. So we shot in December. My first time being on set was in October. They flew me down there to meet the director, and we did some rehearsing. They called it blocking. We did some blocking, and the scene where we're hearing. Well, I won't spoil the movie, but if there's a scene where we're performing "Born in the USA" in the studio, and that's what we rehearsed. And I got to meet the director. He was like, "You're doing a great job. Keep doing what you." He really reassured me that you are prepared to do this. Just bring that same energy on set. So I was prepared, but I was prepared mentally to deliver what I was supposed to do, but emotionally it was overwhelming. I mean, Bruce Springsteen was there when our first day of filming. You know, I got to meet him. Jeremy Allen White, you know, my first day on set, he was there. You know what I mean? All of the stars were there. And it was like, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to say something stupid. You know what I mean? I don't want to embarrass myself, you know. So that part was the terrifying part. what I was there to do, I believe I was prepared to do it. So, but emotionally, yes, I was definitely overwhelmed. But
it reminds me of an old Bill Cosby story when he was at Temple University. He ran track
Mhm.
and he was doing the long jump.
Mm.
So what happens is he does the long jump, jumps farther than he's ever jumped.
Mhm.
He hits the ground and he gets up and he's cool
Mm.
because I've done this, I've hit the ground and whatever. But on the inside, he's doing a dance. But I can't let anybody know that I'm thinking this is the best I've ever done. It's whatever. It's controlling the inside. It's controlling the outside, but still experiencing everything on the inside.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So you go to the premiere.
Yes.
Are you, do you walk in like a proud papa?
No.
Do you shy in, go sit in the corner and go, I'm just gonna sit here and watch the movie and I hope nobody recognizes me.
So there were multiple premieres leading up to. So it premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival. It premiered at the New York Film Festival. It premiered in London. All of those things leading up to the world premiere of when it released on October 24th. So in late September, I was invited. I was allowed to go to the New York Film Festival. Me and my fiance, and they gave us tickets to go. So we go there. You know, we're dressed in our nicest clothes.
Right.
You know, it's just a world that I'm not familiar with at all. And so when we get there, they're like, "Oh, these are wristbands to go sit and watch the film," right? Because they didn't know who I was.
Right.
So I said, "But what if?" And I was just gonna wait in line with the other people that were going to see the movie, right? And I said, "But what if we're a part of the cast?" And then they were like, "Oh, wait a minute, let me go," because they didn't know I was a part of the cast.
Right. Right.
So, because they're looking for Jeremy, they're looking for Bruce, they're looking for all the other big, right? So I'm like, but what if I'm a part of the cast? They were like, well, let me go find out. And then when they go, somebody went to talk to somebody, and then somebody came back and said, follow me. So I went with through the sea of people, and they led me to the red carpet, right? Well, it's a gray carpet technically, but they led me to the carpet area where all the paparazzi, like literally in the movies, like all of the camera flashes, all the flashing lights, all the people talking, like Jeremy here, over here, give me a picture here. You know, it was all of that. So we're waiting in line to walk the carpet, and you know, I'm there. Jeremy comes in. He comes in a little later, and I say, now mind you, I haven't seen Jeremy since we wrapped filming in January.
Right.
This is late September. So I'll go up to Jeremy. I'm like, hey, Jeremy, you know, because I look completely different. Like in the movie, I was like, because I started like my fitness journey leading up to the movie and continued it up until now. In the movie, I was probably about, you know, well, I'm 6'5", so I was like 300 pounds in the movie. Man. And now I'm about like 260 now. And before the film, I was 330. So I would lost 30 pounds going into the film and then lost 40 since then. So I look completely different. So I go to him. I'm like, hey, Jeremy, you know, I waved to him. He was like, hey, Judah, how's it going? It's good. So he remembered me. I was like,
right.
You know, and so I go to the director, Scott. And he's like, Judah, I'm so glad you're here. This is going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome, you know. And so I go to walk the carpet. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, I don't know what to look. You know, the photographers, they're like, look right here. You can look right. They were very kind because they knew I didn't know what I was doing. They're like, look right here. Look right here. Then I invite my fiance. They're like, look right here. So we walked the carpet. It was so cool. And we got to see the movie. You know, there were so many celebrities there. There was Whoopi Goldberg was there. Bruce Springsteen obviously was there. Anne Hathaway was there. There was just so many people. Those are the only people that I saw. And it was just epic seeing them film for the first time there and seeing how they put it all together. It was really cool. And I've seen it like twice since then. I saw it when it came out on October 24th. So back to the premiere. So at the premiere, we go to the after party. We were invited to the after party. And there was like two different areas. There was one for the how do I say this? For everyone that attended the premiere, there was a separate for them, but then there was a separate room for the cast and people, you know, where their family was. And we were a part of the general general population, if you will.
Right. Yeah.
So we were, and we were like, oh, this is cool. This is nice, you know. And then we were going to head out because me and my fiance, we're not like party people. And then we saw this other room that people were going into. And I was like, she was like, well, why don't we go in there? I was like, all right, I don't see why not. We're here. So we go in there and I'm like, are we allowed to go in there? They're like, yeah, go on in. So I go in and it's like all of the cast and their families, like people like hundreds of millions of dollars are in this room. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, it was so cool. And that's where I got my picture with Jeremy, and I got my picture with the director, and he was so cool, so gracious. You know, it was just, I was like, what am I doing in this world? People coming up to me and my fiance like, so are you actors? I'm like, well, technically,
Yeah.
You know, but I'm a musician. I'm a music teacher. She's an engineer. You know what I mean? And it was just surreal, man. It was just so cool.
That is great. Okay, we're going to divert a little bit.
Yeah.
People want to hear your music, so we're going to play a snippet of a song. First of all, which I think has got a great title, and we're not going to get into why I think it's a great title. Once you hear it, you'll know why.
Okay.
But ladies and gentlemen, this is Tennessee Whiskey by I don't drink whiskey. By Judah Shealy on the Jazz Flyte Podcast. Welcome back to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I'm Darrell Scott. He's Judah Shealy. Yeah, we talked a lot about his movie. It's not his movie, the movie that he's in, the Bruce Springsteen story. But let's get back to what you currently do that you're really known for.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been playing the saxophone?
Since 8th grade. I've been playing the saxophone since 8th grade. So about 28 years. I'm 40 now, so it was about 12 then. So yeah, about 28 years, give or take. Yeah.
And obviously the fame and fortune that goes with being a musician and playing in front of people doesn't come close to being in a movie, which will be, you know, the #1 movie in the world soon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness gracious. I have to change up everything now.
No.
But where's your inspiration for your music? Who are your mentors, your influences? Where did the music part come from?
So my uncle was a saxophonist. He's the first saxophonist that I've ever known, and his name is Ellis Clanton, and he's the only musical person in my entire family. Like,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, my sister played a little bit. She played piano a little bit, but my uncle was the one that played saxophone, and my mom used to always play records around the house. You know, like Kenny G, Whitney Houston, Anita Baker. Frankie Beverly, like all that stuff I grew up listening to, but I always loved the sound of the saxophone. I couldn't explain why. It was just something that I gravitated towards. And then when I found out that was what my uncle played, I was like, I want to learn how to do that. So he taught me how to, play. And then I would grow up and eventually, I was coasting on my natural ability. I went to a school called School of the Arts, and I learned, some things there. And I was coasting on natural ability for so long. But then when I started to take it seriously, like this is something that I want to do. I don't know if you can hear my daughter in the background.
Yes, I can.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah. So she's off school. I'm off school. We're all here. So anyway, my biggest mentor was Kirk Whalum. Kirk Whalum is, my biggest influence. Kirk Whalum is my favorite saxophonist of all time. Kenny was the first saxophonist I ever heard. And then, I would love Boney James, Gerald Albright. There's a saxophonist that I grew up listening to named George Furlow. And then, of course, the jazz greats, Cannonball Adderley, Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, Stanley Turrentine that I love. And there's so many. But if I had to choose like one, Kirk Whalum would be my #1. He's my #1 guy.
Kirk's been on the show. And Kirk, I saw Kirk. I've seen Kirk a bunch of times, and you can't. Where is it? I've got an autographed picture somewhere back here.
Oh. Mhm.
But Kirk is such a down to earth
Yes,
person.
he is. Yes, he is.
He and Jonathan Butler are represented by the same group of people. And if
Mm.
you talk to one, it's just like talking to the other one.
Mhm.
They are so in sync with a lot of their beliefs and their faith and playing and blah blah blah. Um, Kirk says, "The best interview I've ever done." And he was outside.
Yeah.
He was he was, let's say, the opening act. I go outside. My wife and I go outside to get a drink. We're coming back in, and Kirk is sitting there signing CDs. And I go, I was going to see if I could get you backstage. Looks at me with this look of, Darrell, you know I'm always working. You'll never find me backstage. I'm sitting here signing CDs, and I'm like, okay, I got no problems whatsoever. But that makes me appreciate him even more because of his down to earthness. But he's such a neat guy, and
Yeah.
some of the stuff that you've done that I've listened to is tremendous. You got a bright future in all of this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, how has your notoriety increased since you've been in the movie, or is it still the same?
It's still pretty much the same. It's well, I don't really I don't have a grasp of my own notoriety, if that makes sense. I
Yeah,
don't
it does.
even I don't so I honestly can't tell you. What I can tell you is that my people in my hometown see me a little bit differently. That
Hmm.
that is because that's something that I can see. You know, I can
Right.
see how people respond to me. I don't know how people respond to me out there in the internet and on the radio. Like I don't know. But I know that there are a lot of people in my life that were already proud of me before, but
Hmm.
more proud of me now. Like they're just like I keep hearing this, like, you deserve it. You
Right.
deserve this. You deserve this. And not to get too personal, but I've been through a lot these last 3 years,
Hmm.
and having this opportunity, so people just say, you deserve it. You deserve it. I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. And so as far as notoriety, I'm not sure, but I've gotten so much love and support from a lot of people, and that means a lot, and I'm
The,
grateful for it. Yeah.
the other thing I found while researching you is you wear a lot of different hats. You're a musician, you're a
Hmm.
producer, you're teaching at a school. You
Hmm.
you do all this stuff. How do you man? I'm a big fan of time management. I want to know how you people who do a lot,
Hmm.
workaholics, how do you manage your time between so you're working on a new record, somebody calls you to produce a record. Oh, you got a lesson plan to get ready for at school. Um, and let's throw in there, I'm willing to bet you'll get another, and you can quote me on this, you'll get another movie part. You will. Um, how do you handle that? How do you arrange that? How do you keep your senses?
That's wow. I don't know. I don't know how I do a lot of this. Well, I've been teaching for so long. This is my 17th year as an educator,
Wow.
and and I teach kindergarten through fourth grade. I teach the young ones, and my the way that my schedule is set up at school, I teach. My lesson plans throughout the year are pretty much the same going every year because
Hmm.
I've worked it out to a system where I know what I'm doing at this time of the month. I know what I'm doing at this time of the month. At any given day, I already know what I'm doing for the most part. So,
Hmm.
that is worked out. Um, During my free periods, and probably shouldn't say this publicly, but I don't think any of my staff is listening. During some of the times where I'm not teaching, I'm working on music. So I'm usually working on, some of my own songs. I'm working on songs for some clients, and then I'm working on songs for my kids. I make original songs for my kids as well. And so during some of my free time or the times that I'm not teaching, I'm usually working on music constantly. So during the day at school, I'm teaching or working on music. Once I'm at home, I work on music not as much. I record at home, but I
Hmm.
work on the actual producing part. Most of that is done during the day,
Okay.
and that's like 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. You know what I mean? On Fridays, I don't teach as much, so I have some more time to work on outside projects while I'm at school. So that helps a lot. And then I record whenever all those projects are like to the point where I can record them. Then I record at home because I have my own, my recording equipment here. I have my studio, if you will, here. So, my schedule allows for me to compartmentalize when I do certain things. And then, I got to pick up my daughter. I go to the gym usually after work. And then I go pick up my daughter. And then I put my daughter in bed around 8 o'clock. And then from, 8 until I fall asleep, that's my me time.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my me time, whether that's watching one of my shows or playing games or whatever. And so I make sure that I compartmentalize, like, this time is for this time is for that, so that I don't drive myself crazy.
Okay.
So it's a lot of compartmentalizing and using my schedule, maximizing my schedule to work on.
I get that whole compartmentalized thing. It's just like I was talking to you before we started.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get the dog out before the show starts, because if I don't, he becomes the Tasmanian devil. And most of the time he'll come in here and you can't see, but he'd be over here.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants his attention. So, behind his ears, whatever, he'll turn around.
Mm-hmm.
I have the door closed now because he gets to barking and everything.
Yeah.
So it's settled that down. Then once I'm done with this one, we have to set it up and I have to send it to the producer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when we were younger, it was like, I don't really need to have every moment of my life mapped out. Okay, I'm old now. I need to map everything out. And I need to do this. So before we continue, let's listen to this woman's work on the Jazz Flyte Podcast with our guest, Judah Shealy. That is this woman's work on the Jazz Flyte Podcast with our guest, Judah Shealy, who's having the rise is rocket-like. So what's in the future for you, or what are you working on right now that we can expect more of your talent to be displayed?
Well, thank you. I just released an album in September. I mean, not in September, in August, that coincided with my 40th birthday. It was called This Is Judah. And, I was very proud of that album. That's where Tennessee Whiskey came from. And, a bunch of other songs that I put on that record. I just released a Christmas album that came out a couple weeks ago. It came out in mid-October. And now I'm working on some stuff for some new clients. One of my friends, Walter Chapman, I'm working on his recent single. Putting the finishing touches on my good friend Deepak Tatu's CD, which is a long time coming. We've done about 9 singles together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just grateful that we finally can, put it all together on a project. And so that should be coming early next year. And then I'm recording some of my favorite songs. I don't know if it's going to be on my next project, because I like to have some breathing room when I release a project, and then I start working on original material. I'm always creating. I'm always doing something. So even if I'm not recording some of my own songs, I'm recording some of my favorite songs, just because I want to, just because I like to have my mind occupied on, making music or whatever. And so I'm working on some of my favorite songs that I might release, early next year. And then after that, probably do another original single that will eventually be on my next project, probably a couple of years from now. But yeah.
And you're so far ahead. Is there ever an opportunity or ever an occasion when you said this is going to be released in the early part of next year or the middle part of next year, and you go, no, I need to release this now?
Yes, that's the struggle. That is a struggle, because this is how my brain works. Whenever I work on something and I'm really proud of it, I want people to hear it. And, as a visual, like a painter, they paint and then they realize their creation in 2 steps, but how they feel about it, but also in, displaying it at their art showcase or whatever the case may be. And so like, or when you create a piece of music, you're like, I love this, but I also want people to hear it. And even if they don't like it, I still love it,
Right.
So like whenever I create something that I'm really proud of, I want people to hear it. And so that's the struggle. Sometimes I would talk to my promoter and I'm like, hey, I just worked on this single. Are we going to promote some singles from the last record, or do you think we should move on? Or, so I have to get on a calendar.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's a calendar of releases. So I can't just, if it's something that I know is not going to go to radio, then I can put it out whenever I want.
Right.
If it's something that I think I want to go to radio, then I have to time that release to my promoter's calendar. David Coonard is my promoter, and I love him. He's done great work for me, and I love working with him. And so yeah, that's the struggle, because I always want people to hear something as soon as I make it.
So yeah. So do you have a social media presence?
I do. I am on Instagram, Facebook, Threads. I have a website, judahseeley.com. I have a YouTube channel, where I post, some videos that I've recorded, and some of my educational videos that I made in COVID are there that I use to, like, if anybody wants to learn, how to read notes on the staff, I have a video for that, or I have a video showing the different instruments or whatever, so I have some of those things on my YouTube channel as well. So yes, I do have a social media presence.
Cool. I'm going to be doing a kind of a meet and greet thing in a few weeks.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing, like I told you, we'll when this show is done and we drop it, and I will let you know what comes out.
Yes,
there's a playlist. I will include you in the playlist, but once that event is over, they'll still be able to go out and find your music. So do you have the big box record company behind you, or are you an independent artist? I
am completely independent. Completely. There's no one. I produce all of my own music. I play keys, so I all of the production, anything that isn't live drums, guitar, or live bass is all me. So, the piano, the keyboard, the strings, all of the little production elements, that's all me, and the saxophone.
Okay.
So I write all of my own music. I produce all of my own music. And there's no one that is, I used to mix my own music, but now, depending on what song it is, I, would have another guy. But sometimes it's good to have a fresh set of ears on it.
Yes.
So I mix, I have somebody mix my stuff, and I mix some of my clients' records if they want me to. And so, yeah, I do everything myself, everything other than promotion.
If you need another set of ears,
okay.
I volunteer. You can send it to me, and I will listen to it.
Okay.
And the bad part or good part is I'm very honest in my opinions. But I love listening to it prior to or before it's released, just to say that I've listened to something. And now that I'm going to be going out and doing things, I can expose your music to the folks here in Cleveland.
Okay.
And we'll talk about something else here in a minute. Judah, man, best of luck to you. Keep going. Keep that upward trajectory. I think I will bow down now, so that once you're up on the stage, you ain't got to worry about that. Must be Darrell, because why is he bowing down? And continued success. Whatever you got new coming out, please get it to Jazz Flyte. We'll put it on our social media, and we'll make this work. All right, sir.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. If you like what we do, you gotta like this video, because you gotta like this guy. So subscribe. There'll be more of this, and we keep doing what we're doing. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. I'm Darrell Scott, and this is the Jazz Flyte Podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I hope you enjoy these stories and soulful melodies that grew through the doors of time. If you want to stay connected with the latest updates and episodes, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Until next time, I'm Darrell Scott.